Hey tubers, welcome back for another adventure, a quick shop build. I have like engines all over the place and quite honestly they're starting to get heavy to move around. So I was going down the road and it looked like an estate type situation. This was in the free pile. So obviously Harvey's always attracted to free, so I grabbed it right up. Now what I want to do is have this thing become a wheeled cart that I can move engines around in. If you're familiar with these older wheelchairs, I mean they're just tough. You can put somebody in there plus whatever medical paraphernalia they need. I mean, which could get you easily up over 250 and wheel it around for 20 years and they take the abuse. The big wheels will make it a little easier to go off-road where it's not muddy. Obviously where it's muddy they'll sink in. The front casters make it easy to spin it about and all that kind of stuff. There is some lost space underneath because of the way it's built. I'm not going to worry about that. I want something tall that I can put things on and something tall that I can lift things off. I don't need to store anything underneath on the bottom. Anyway, first stage is disassembly, obviously, and it seems that everything's coming off pretty easy. So let me just continue with that. This is what it looks like all torn apart. It's still pretty sturdy. It's a little cattywampus here because, right, it's missing that plastic thing. But if I tie both sides together, I think it'll straighten that out. That's probably why this chair was retired age and it was beginning to get a little ratty. This is what I'm thinking about off the top of my head. Angle iron, obviously I'm going to cut these back, right? No use having a spear out front to harpoon into things and to knock stuff over. And a flat piece on top. I can bungee things around. And as a matter of fact, I kind of like the idea of using a tray on it. I'm debating whether to bolt it down or not. And the reason why I mention that is if I don't bolt it down, if I set it upside down like that, it kind of protects things a little bit. So these are the kind of things you discover once you get it together. And does it work for me or doesn't it work for me? In addition, I'm looking at the back where this comes off. Do I want to put something back here to tie to? You know, I'm just trying to see as I'm pushing it if that's going to be a problem or not. It'll make it a little stronger, right? It won't torque as easy. You know, these are kind of final fitting things, right? What works the best. So I'm going to continue to poke at it. You guys will see it. Generally speaking, if you go to a lot of places, Goodwill or junk shops, and once again, this wheelchair came from the side of the road. Wheelchairs, generally speaking, are pretty available. Unfortunately, people need them. Unfortunately, they wear out, or the people find they don't need them anymore. They go electric or whatever. So you can get them and they are helpful. Remember, whatever you build, try to keep more of the weight on the back wheels than the front. So as you're poking around and coming up with ideas, think about that. Even for whatever reason, there is enough space under there where theoretically one could put a little shelf in and put a toolbox perhaps. Or maybe even a GY6 engine for storage. Okay, we have it. There's a ATC 200M engine on there. You can see the little platform. There it sits. Want to talk about easy to wheel, right? One-handed, no problem. I think it's going to do everything I want it to do. Particularly, I don't have to pick up. When I load it, I can load it from a standing position. You can see it rolled so well, it keeps coming at me. It does still have the brakes if necessary. Anyway, it's easy to load. It's probably about 3 foot high, give or take a little bit. Without an engine on it, or even with the engine on it, to work on it, there is some extra space on the tray for putting your tools. If it spills oil, right, it's contained. You can wipe it up, dispose of the rags properly, right? You don't need to get oil all over the place. For whatever reason, I don't know if you could see it right there, they did put holes on both sides of this tray. I don't know, maybe to hang it, or maybe if it fills up too much with oil, to let the oil run out. Looks like they did cook on this, and if I recall when I bought it, I think it had the residue of hamburgers on it. My way of cleaning it is I just left it in the weather. Left it out for the winter, let snow and rain and insects on it. I left some air up, so to speak, and some of them I turned upside down to the ground. It actually seems the one that were up against the dirt actually cleaned up a little better. So how to clean baked on hamburger off your aluminum cookware. So I'm happy with it. This should make my life a little easier. You know, as you're no longer young, not saying old, I'm saying no longer young, you got to be careful about picking up an engine and walking around with it. The trouble you could get into is really not the heavy lift, but if you stumble or something, step in a hole, with the extra 50, 75, 100 pounds, you can do it in an ankle or something. Where if you're pushing this thing and you kind of step in a hole, it's really not that big a deal. You kind of support your weight on your two hands and protect yourself from falling. So this thing might even make life a little safer. With the wood under the engine, right, it's fairly stable. If I were to go to the backyard, I would probably put a bungee up, around, and back down. That way you know everything kind of stays in place. And even if you unfortunately put the chair into a deep woodchuck hole or something and it looks like it's going to fall over, with the bungee it'll slow things down. You won't damage the engine, hopefully. Anyway, I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. With a little ingenuity, us not young guys could keep going a while longer. Please remember to keep your feet down, your heads up, and I need you all to get out there and enjoy each and every day. Don't let any time get by you. Make sure you get out and have some fun. Bye now.